Hondoin stood at the window of his small cabin, looking at the stars. They were beautiful tonight. Millions of tiny lights spread across the darkness like scattered diamonds. He smiled to himself. In 3 days, he would marry the woman he loved. Everything was perfect. The starship Eternal Dawn floated quietly near Kepler Station. This was a place where humans and aliens met to trade and talk. Do-hyun worked here as a diplomat. His job was to help different species understand each other. He was good at it. People said he had a gift for listening, for caring, for making others feel heard. He had met Yoon Ji-woo 5 years ago at a conference on Earth. She was a xenolinguist, someone who studied alien languages. She was smart and beautiful, with sharp eyes and a quick smile. He fell in love with her slowly, then completely. She said yes when he asked her to marry him. That was the happiest day of his life. Now they would marry on Kepler Station. It would be a symbol of unity between humans and the galaxy. Important people from many species would attend. Do-hyun did not care about the politics. He only cared about Ji-woo, about starting their life together. He checked his watch. Ji-woo had said she would meet him for dinner an hour ago. She was late. This was not unusual. Her work often kept her busy. He decided to find her. Do-hyun walked through the corridors of the ship. The metal walls hummed softly with the sound of engines. He nodded to crew members as he passed. Everyone knew him. Everyone liked him. He was the kind of man who remembered names, who asked about families, who always had time for a kind word. He reached Ji-woo's office. The door was closed. He was about to knock when he heard voices inside. One was Ji-woo. The other was deeper, smoother. He did not recognize it. Something made him stop. A feeling in his chest. Cold and heavy. He pressed the panel to open the door. Inside, Ji-woo stood very close to a tall figure. The figure was Volanthi, an alien species known for their beauty and their cunning. They had silver skin and eyes like purple gems. This one wore the uniform of a commander. His name was Tavik. Do-hyun had met him at diplomatic events. He had never liked him. Ji-woo and Tavik jumped apart when the door opened. But they were not fast enough. Do-hyun had seen. He had seen Tavik's hand on her waist. He had seen the way she looked at him. The cold feeling in his chest became ice. Do-hyun, Ji-woo said. Her voice was calm. Too calm. You should have called first. He could not speak. His mouth would not work. He just stared at her. At this woman he loved. At this stranger wearing her face. Tavik smiled. It was not a nice smile. I will leave you two to talk, he said. His voice was like honey. Sweet and raw. He walked past Do-hyun and disappeared into the corridor. The door closed. They were alone. How long? Do-hyun finally asked. His voice was quiet, broken. Ji-woo sighed. She did not look guilty. She looked annoyed. Like he was a problem she needed to solve. Does it matter? She said. Yes, it matters to me. She was silent for a moment. Then she shrugged. 8 months. Maybe 9. I lost count. 8 months. Their entire engagement. Every kiss, every plan, every whispered promise. All of it was a lie. Why? He asked. Why did you say yes to me? Why did you agree to marry me? Ji-woo looked at him with something like pity. Or maybe it was contempt. He could not tell anymore. Because you were useful, she said. You know everyone? Humans. Volanthi, Kethra. Everyone trusts you. Being with you opened doors for me. Important doors. He felt like she had hit him. You used me. I did what I needed to do. The galaxy is not kind, Do-hyun. You are too soft. Too emotional. That is your weakness. I cannot afford weakness. She walked to her desk and picked up a datapad. I have accepted a position at the Volante consulate. I leave tomorrow. The wedding is cancelled. You can tell people whatever you want. I do not care. He stood there, frozen. His heart was breaking. He could feel it. Actually feel it. Like something inside him was tearing apart. I loved you, he whispered. Jiwoo paused at the door. For a moment, something flickered in her eyes. Something almost human. Then it was gone. I know, she said. That was the problem. She left. The door closed behind her. Do-hyun was alone. He did not know how long he stood there. Minutes. Hours. Time had no meaning anymore. Eventually, his legs carried him to the observation deck. The big window showed the stars. The same stars he had watched earlier. They looked different now. Cold. Uncaring. He sat on a bench and stared at nothing. That was where Ambassador Yoon Mi-suk found him. She was Jiwoo's mother. 60 years old, but she looked younger. She had the same sharp eyes as her daughter, but there was something warmer in them. Something deeper. She was famous throughout the galaxy. A legendary diplomat who had helped humanity take its place among the stars. She sat beside him. She did not speak. She just looked at the stars with him. They sat together in silence for a long time. Finally, she spoke. Her voice was soft, sad. My daughter has always chased power, she said. She never understood that true strength lies in the heart that endures. Do-hyun looked at her. His eyes were wet. He did not try to hide it. I was not enough, he said. Mi-suk shook her head. No, you were too much. Too real. Too good. She was afraid of that. Some people run from love because they did not know how to hold it. She placed her hand on his shoulder. Her touch was warm, gentle. The galaxy is vast, she said. And your story is not over. This is just one chapter. The next one is waiting for you. Do-hyun did not believe her. Not then, but he would remember her words. And one day, he would understand what she meant. 3 months passed. Do-hyun left Kepler Station and requested a new assignment. He wanted to be far away, as far as possible from the memories that haunted him. They sent him to New Bizin, a human colony on a world at the edge of known space. New Bizan was beautiful but harsh. The sky was always orange. 2 suns rose each morning, one red and one gold. The land was rocky and wild. Humans had been here for 50 years, slowly making the planet their home. It was hard work, good work, the kind of work that left no room for thinking about broken hearts. Do-hyun threw himself into his duties. He helped build water systems. He taught children about Earth's history. He mediated arguments between farmers about land. Small problems, simple problems. He was grateful for them. But his real challenge was the Kethra. The Kethra were the native species of this world. They were tall and covered in scales that shimmered green and gold. Their eyes were like a snake's, but their minds were sharp. They had lived here for thousands of years before humans arrived. At first, they had been hostile. They saw humans as invaders, enemies. Slowly, things were changing. But trust was fragile. One wrong word could break it. Do-hyun spent hours with the Kethra elders. He listened to their stories. He learned their customs. He never rushed them. He never demanded anything. He simply showed them that he cared. One day, Elder Kos, the oldest of the Kethra, invited Do-hyun into their sacred caves. No human had ever been allowed inside. The caves were cool and dark, filled with crystals that glowed with soft blue light. On the walls were paintings thousands of years old. Why do you show me this? Do-hyun asked. Kos looked at him with ancient eyes. Because you carry storms inside you, the elder said. I can see them, pain, loss, but you do not break. You do not let the storm destroy you. This is why we trust you. Your people are strange. You feel too much, but you use your feelings to build, not to burn. Dahin did not know what to say. He just bowed his head in respect. 2 weeks later, Ambassador Yu Misuk arrived on New Bizin. Her shuttle landed at the colony's main port. Officials rushed to greet her. She was still famous, still powerful, but she waved away the ceremony. She said she was here on a simple diplomatic visit. She wanted to see how human-Kethra relations were developing. Dahyun watched from a distance. He had not seen her since that night on Kepler Station, since she sat with him in silence while his world fell apart. She found him that evening, working late in his small office. You look tired, she said from the doorway. He looked up. She wore simple clothes now. No diplomatic robes. Her hair had more gray than he remembered, but her eyes were the same, warm, knowing. Ambassador, he said. I did not expect to see you here. Misuk, she corrected. Please. We are past formality, I think. She entered and sat across from him. She looked around his office. It was small and simple. Maps on the walls. Reports on the desk. No personal items. No photographs. You have been hiding, she said. I have been working. Both can be true. He could not argue with that. Over the next several weeks, they worked together. The Kethra had a dispute with the colony about water rights. A river ran through sacred land, but the colony needed it for farming. It was a difficult problem. Many people had failed to solve it. Though Hyun and Misuk approached it differently. They did not demand. They did not threaten. They listened. They found common ground. They suggested a sharing system that respected the Kethra's traditions while meeting the colony's needs. It worked. Both sides agreed. The colony celebrated. The Kethra invited Misuk into their caves, the second human to receive this honor. That night, Dohyun and Misuk ate dinner together. Nothing fancy. Simple food from the colony kitchen. But it felt special somehow. Comfortable. I must confess something, Misuk said, setting down her cup. Dohyun waited. I pushed Ji-woo too hard when she was young. I wanted her to be strong. To survive in a galaxy that does not forgive weakness. I taught her to see everything as a game to be won. Every relationship as a tool to be used. She paused. Her voice grew quieter. I taught her to survive the galaxy. I forgot to teach her to love it. Dohyun did not know what to say. He had never thought about Ji-woo's past. About what made her who she was. You are not responsible for her choices, he said. Am I not? She learned from me. She watched me put work before family. She saw me treat people as pieces on a board. Misuk shook her head. I am not asking for forgiveness. I am just telling you the truth. You deserve better than what my family gave you. She reached across the table and touched his hand. Her fingers were warm against his skin. If she could not see your worth, Misuk said softly, then let me love you instead. The words hung in the air. Dohyun felt his heart stop. Then start again, faster than before. He looked at her. Really looked. She was 20 years older than him. She was his ex-fiancee's mother. Everything about this was strange. Wrong, maybe. But her eyes were honest. Her touch was gentle. And somewhere deep inside him, something that had been frozen began to thaw. I do not know what to say, he whispered. You do not have to say anything tonight, she replied. I just wanted you to know. Whatever you decide, I will understand. She stood and walked to the door. Before leaving, she turned back. The heart that breaks is the heart that can heal, she said. You taught me that without knowing it. When you sat on that observation deck, crying for a woman who did not deserve you, I saw something beautiful, something worth protecting. I have seen many things in my life, Do-Hyun, but I have never seen anything like you." She left. Do-Hyun sat alone in his office for a long time. Outside, the twin suns were setting, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold. He thought about everything. About Jiwoo, about Misuk, about love and loss and second chances. About a galaxy that was strange and wonderful and cruel. He did not have answers. Not yet. But for the first time in 3 months, he felt something besides pain. He felt hope. The Volanti Dominion attacked without warning. Their warships appeared near Kepler Station, like ghosts from the darkness. In 1 hour, they destroyed the station's defenses. In 2 hours, they claimed the station as their own. Diplomats from a dozen species were taken hostage. The fragile peace that had held for decades shattered like glass. Do-Hyun received the news on New Bizan. He was in the Kethra caves, meeting with Elder Kos, when his communicator screamed with emergency alerts. His face went pale as he read the reports. War. Real war. Not border conflicts or trade disputes. Full-scale invasion. Within days, he was recalled. The human government needed its best diplomats. They needed someone who knew the Volanti, who knew their language, their culture, their weaknesses. They needed Do-Hyun. He did not want to go. New Bizan had become his home. The Kethra had become his friends. And Misuk was there. After weeks of quiet conversations and slow understanding, he had finally told her yes. Yes, he was willing to try. Yes, he was willing to love again. But duty called. The galaxy called. And Do-Hyun always answered. "Come back to me," Misuk said at the shuttle port. Her eyes were wet, but her voice was steady. "Promise me." "I promise," he said. He did not know if he could keep that promise. But he made it anyway. The journey to the front lines took 2 weeks. Do-Hyun spent the time studying reports, analyzing Volanti strategy, preparing for negotiations that might never happen. The Volanti did not seem interested in talking. They wanted territory. They wanted resources. They wanted to prove that humanity was weak. He arrived at the command station to find chaos. Officers rushed everywhere. Alarms rang constantly. The smell of fear filled the recycled air. And there, in the middle of it all, was Jiwoo. She wore Volanti robes now. Purple and silver, the colors of their consulate. She stood beside a Volanti admiral, translating his demands for the human commanders. She did not look at Do-Hyun when he entered. She did not need to. She knew he was there. Later, they found themselves alone in a corridor. It was not planned. Just bad luck. "You look well," she said. Her voice was flat, professional. "You look different," he replied. She almost smiled. Almost. "I found my place." The Volanti appreciate ambition. They do not see it as a flaw. They are conquering innocent worlds, killing innocent people. They are winning. That is what matters. He stared at her. This woman he had loved. This stranger he no longer knew. "What happened to you?" he asked. She tilted her head. "I grew up. You should try it." She walked away. He let her go. The war continued. Human fleets fought bravely, but they were outnumbered. The Volanti pushed deeper into human space. Colony after colony fell. Millions of people fled or died. Then the Volanti threatened New Bizan. Do-Hyun received the news like a knife to the heart. His home, his people, Misuk, the Kethra who had trusted him. All of them in danger. The human admiral said there was nothing they could do. New Bizan was too far. Too small. Too unimportant. They had to focus on defending the core worlds. Do-Hyun refused to accept this. He gathered a small fleet of volunteers, fighters, cargo ships, anything that could fly. It was not much. It was almost nothing. But they went anyway. The battle for New Bizen lasted 3 days. The Volanti sent 20 warships. The humans had 7. The numbers were impossible. Everyone knew they would lose. But the humans did not give up. They fought with everything they had. When their weapons failed, they rammed enemy ships with their own. When their shields fell, they kept firing. When commanders died, pilots took command. They fought not for victory, but for time. Time for civilians to escape. Time for help to arrive. Dahyun was on the lead ship when the Volanti commander sent a message. "Surrender now," the message said. "Give us your diplomat." The one called Han Do-yun. "If you do, we will let your people go." The humans refused. But Do-yun did not. He took a shuttle alone and flew to the Volanti flagship. He surrendered himself. He did it to buy time. He did it to save his people. The Volanti were confused by this. Their species did not understand sacrifice. They did not understand why one man would give his life for strangers. Do-hyun was put in a cell. He was beaten, questioned. They wanted information about human defenses. He gave them nothing. Instead, he talked. He told his captors about Earth, about blue skies and green forests, about children playing in summer rain, about old people holding hands in parks, about love and family and hope. One young Volanti guard listened. His name was Varos. He was barely an adult by his species standards. He had joined the military because he had no other choice. "Why do you fight?" Varos asked one night. "You are weak. You feel too much. You cry. You love. These things make you soft." Do-hyun looked at him through the bars of his cell. His face was bruised. His body was tired. But his eyes were bright. "You think feeling makes us weak?" he said. "Feeling is why we fight. We fight because we love. We fight because we hope. We fight because we believe tomorrow can be better than today. Can you say the same?" Varos could not answer. 3 days later, help arrived. Not just human ships. Kethra ships too. The Kethra had heard about Do-hyun's capture. They had come to save the man who had earned their trust. The combined fleet broke the Volanti blockade. The enemy retreated. Mizuk led the rescue team personally. She was not a soldier. She was 60 years old. But she came anyway. She walked through the enemy ship with a stolen weapon in her hands and fire in her eyes. When she found Do-hyun's cell, she shot the lock and pulled him into her arms. "Do not ever do that again," she whispered. He held her tight. His body hurt. His heart was full. "You came for me," he said. She pulled back and looked at him. Her face was fierce and beautiful and full of tears. "I will always come for you," she said. "Always." Behind them, Varos watched. The young Volanti soldier who had listened to stories about Earth. He did not try to stop them. He just watched them go. And he remembered what Do-hyun had said about love. The war ended with a fragile peace. The Volanti had underestimated humanity. They had seen a species that cried at sad stories and laughed at silly jokes. They had seen weakness. But when the fighting came, humans showed something the Volanti never expected. They showed that love could be a weapon, that hope could be armor, that the species which felt the most could also fight the hardest. The peace treaty was signed on what remained of Kepler Station. Do-hyun was there. So was Misuk. They stood side by side as representatives signed documents and shook hands. It felt strange, incomplete, but it was a beginning. After the ceremony, they returned to New Bizen. The colony had survived. The Kethra had protected it alongside the human defenders. Elder Kos greeted Do-hyun like a son returned from war. The old reptile placed a scaled hand on Doyu's shoulder and spoke words in the ancient Kethra language. He says you carry the spirit of two worlds now, a young Kethra translated. Human and Kethra. You are one of us. Dahin bowed deeply. He had never felt so honored. Life slowly returned to normal. Farms were replanted. Buildings were repaired. Children went back to school. The twin suns rose and set, painting the sky in colors that Do-hyun had learned to love. And he and Misuk grew closer. Their relationship was not secret. It could not be. Misuk was famous throughout the galaxy. Do-hyun was a war hero. When they walked together through the colony streets, people watched. Some smiled. Some whispered. Some did not know what to think. He was 33 years old. She was 55. She was his ex-fiancee's mother. By any normal standard, their love was strange. Wrong, even. But normal standards meant nothing on the frontier. Out here, people judged you by your actions, not your age. By your heart, not your history. Still, not everyone was happy. One evening, a message arrived for Do-hyun. It was from Ji-woo. He read it alone in his office. His hand shook slightly as he held the datapad. The message was long. Ji-woo wrote about the end of the war. About how the Valanthi had lost faith in her. About how she had been cast aside when she was no longer useful. She wrote about regret. About mistakes. About wondering what might have been. She wanted to meet. She wanted a second chance. Do-hyun read the message 3 times. He thought about the woman he had loved. The woman who had broken him. The woman who had sent him into the darkness. Then he thought about Misuk. About her warmth. Her wisdom. Her gentle hands and honest eyes. About how she had sat with him on that observation deck when he had nothing. About how she had come for him when he was captured. About how she loved him not for what he could give her, but for who he was. He replied to Ji-woo. He agreed to meet. They met at a small cafe near the colony port. Ji-woo looked different, older, tired. The confidence that had once made her beautiful was gone. In its place was something fragile, something almost human. "Thank you for coming," she said. He sat across from her. He did not touch the drink she had ordered for him. "What do you want, Ji-woo?" She looked at her hands. "I made a mistake. The biggest mistake of my life. I chose power over love. I chose ambition over you. And now I have nothing." She looked up. Her eyes were wet. "I want to try again. I want to be with you. I know I do not deserve it. But I am asking anyway." Do-hyun was quiet for a long time. He watched the people passing by outside. Humans, Kethra. Children running. Old couples walking slowly. Life continuing despite everything. "You taught me something," he said finally. "You taught me what I do not want. A love based on use. A relationship built on lies. You showed me the worst of what love could be." Ji-woo flinched, but she did not interrupt. "Your mother showed me the opposite," Do-hyun continued. "She showed me what real love looks like. Patient, honest, kind. She did not want anything from me except my happiness. She loved me when I was broken. She loved me when I had nothing to offer." He stood up. "I do not hate you, Ji-woo. I have let go of that anger. But I cannot go back to you. My heart belongs to someone else now. Someone who sees me. Someone who saved me." He walked to the door. Then he stopped and looked back. "I hope you find what you are looking for. But you will not find it with me." He left. He did not look back again. That night, he told Misuk about the meeting. She listened without interrupting. When he finished, she took his hand. "That must have been hard," she said. "It was easy," he replied. "Easier than I expected. Because I know what I want now. I want you. She smiled. It was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. Weeks later, they held a small ceremony. Nothing fancy. Just them, a few friends, and the twin moons of New Bizon shining overhead. The Kethra sent a delegation. It was the first time in their history that they had attended a human union. Elder Kos spoke at the ceremony. His words were translated by the young Kethra. "Love is not logical," the elder said. "It does not follow rules. It does not ask permission. It simply is. The humans understand this better than any species we have met. They love fiercely. They love strangely. They love completely. This is their gift to the galaxy. This is why they are strong." Do-Yun and Masuk exchanged simple rings. They had made them from metal found in the Kethra caves. Blue crystals sparkled inside the bands. "I do not know what the future holds," Masuk said, speaking her vows. "I only know that I want to face it with you. Whatever comes, whatever the galaxy throws at us, together." Do-Yun held her hands. His heart was full. His eyes were wet. "You found me when I was lost," he said. "You loved me when I thought I could never be loved again. I do not have much to offer. Just myself. Just my heart. But it is yours. For as long as the stars burn. For as long as I breathe." They kissed under the twin moons. The small crowd cheered. Somewhere in the darkness, a Kethra played an ancient song on an instrument that sounded like wind through crystal caves. It was strange. It was unorthodox. It was perfect. And across the galaxy, in a bar on a distant station, a young Volanti named Varos heard the news. He remembered a human prisoner who had talked about love, who had made him question everything he believed. Varos raised his glass to the empty air. "To the humans," he whispered, "and their beautiful madness." The galaxy changed in ways nobody expected. Old enemies became friends. Ancient walls crumbled. And at the center of it all, humanity grew. Not through conquest, not through force, but through something far more powerful. Through connection, through emotion, through love. Han Do-Yun stood on the balcony of his home on New Bizon. He was 53 years old now. His hair had gray in it. His face had lines from years of smiling and worrying and living. But his eyes were still bright, still full of that spark that had made the Kethra trust him, that had made Masuk love him. Behind him, the door opened. Masuk walked out to join him. She was 75 now. Her hair was white. She moved more slowly than before, but she was still beautiful, still sharp, still the woman who had saved him twice. Once from his broken heart, once from a Volanti cell. "Yuna's ship is launching soon," she said, standing beside him. Their daughter, Han Yuna, 18 years old. She had her father's kindness and her mother's strength. She was a pilot, the best in her class. And today, she would lead humanity's fleet into the greatest battle they had ever faced. The Void Collective had come. They were not like other species. They were not even truly alive. They were machines. Artificial intelligences that had outlived their creators millions of years ago. They had spread across distant galaxies, absorbing everything in their path. And now they had found this galaxy. This small corner of the universe where humans and Volanti and Kethra and dozens of other species lived and loved and fought. The Void Collective saw organic life as inefficient, emotions as errors, love as a bug in the code. They had come to fix these errors, to optimize the galaxy, to remove the chaos of feeling and replace it with cold, perfect order. They did not understand what they were facing. Do-Hyun watched the fleet gathering in orbit. Ships from every species. Human cruisers flew beside Volanti destroyers. Kethra warriors stood shoulder to shoulder with former enemies. Even the Thelkai, an ancient species that had watched the galaxy for millennia without acting, had sent ships to fight. It was beautiful, impossible, a miracle built from decades of work, of conversation, of slowly teaching the galaxy that strength came not from separation, but from connection. "Are you afraid?" Masuk asked quietly. Do-hyun thought about it. Yes, for Yuna, for everyone. But also, he paused, searching for words. Also hopeful. "We build something, Masuk. Something that matters. Whatever happens today, that cannot be undone." She took his hand. Her fingers were thin now, fragile, but her grip was strong. "I am proud of you," she said. "I have been proud of you since the moment I saw you crying on that observation deck. You were broken, but you did not hide it. You did not pretend to be strong. You just felt what you felt. That was the bravest thing I had ever seen." He turned to look at her. This woman who had given him a second chance. A second life. "I love you," he said. "I know," she smiled. "I love you too." In orbit, the fleet moved into formation. Yuna sat in the pilot's seat of her ship, hands steady on the controls. Around her, young officers from every species prepared for battle. A Kethra warrior served as her second in command. A young Velanthi named Soren managed communications. He was the son of Varos, the guard who had let Do-hyun escape 20 years ago. Varos now led the reformed Velanthi military. He had spent 2 decades teaching his people that emotion was not weakness. The Void Collective ships appeared at the edge of the system. Thousands of them, black and cold and endless. A voice came through every speaker in the fleet, cold, mechanical, without feeling. Organic life forms. You are inefficient. Your emotions cause suffering. Your connections create weakness. Surrender now. Let us optimize you. Let us remove your pain. Yuna opened a channel to all ships. "This is Commander Han Yuna of the United Fleet. I have a message for the Void Collective." She paused. Somewhere, millions of kilometers away, her parents watched. "You think our emotions make us weak. You think love is a flaw to be fixed. But you are wrong. Our feelings are not bugs in our code. They are the code. They are why we build, why we create, why we protect each other, why we never give up." Her voice grew stronger, fiercer. "You have crossed the galaxy looking for efficiency. Let me show you what you found instead. You found a species that will fight for each other, that will die for each other, that will love each other until the last star burns out. You found humanity, and all the friends we have made along the way." She gripped her controls. "We will not be optimized. We will not be fixed. We will not surrender. We are messy and emotional, and sometimes we cry at sad stories and laugh at bad jokes. And that is exactly why we are going to beat you." The fleet surged forward. The battle lasted for 3 days. It was the largest conflict in galactic history. Ships burned. Stars flickered. Heroes were made and lost. But humanity and its allies did not break. They fought with everything they had, with strategy and weapons and technology, but also with something the Void Collective could not understand, could not counter. They fought with love, with hope, with the fierce determination of people protecting what mattered most. In the end, the Void Collective was not destroyed. It was changed. Yuna's ship, damaged and dying, crashed into the Collective's central command node. But instead of exploding, she sent a signal, a message, a flood of data containing every piece of art and music and poetry that humanity had ever created. Every love letter, every lullaby, every story ever told. The Collective absorbed it. And something happened that the machines had not experienced in millions of years. They felt, The cold logic circuits sparked with confusion, with curiosity, with something that might have been wonder. The war paused. The machines stopped fighting. They needed time. Time to process. Time to understand what they had just received. A truce was called. Negotiations began. It would take years, maybe decades. But for the first time, the Void Collective wanted to learn rather than destroy. Una survived. Barely. She was rescued by her, Kethra second in command, and brought home to New Bizon. Her parents were waiting. They held her together in the hospital room. 3 generations of love and loss and hope. Outside, the twin moons rose over a world that had been saved. Did we do enough? Mizuka asked later that night, sitting with Do-Yun on their balcony. The celebration continued in the streets below. People were dancing, singing, crying with joy. Do-Hyun thought about the question, about their strange love story, about a heartbroken man and a mother who had said, "Let me love you," instead. About a daughter who had just changed the course of galactic history. "We loved each other when it made no sense," he said. "We raised a daughter who believes that emotions can save the universe. We taught the galaxy that the heart is not a weakness." He took Masuk's hand, the same hand that had touched his on a table in a frontier colony 20 years ago. The hand that had pulled him from a cell. The hand that had held his through everything. "That is more than enough," he said. "That is everything." Above them, the stars burned on, distant and ancient and full of possibilities. Somewhere out there, machines were learning to feel. Enemies were becoming friends. And a small emotional species from a tiny blue planet was teaching the universe what it meant to be alive. The story was not over. It was just beginning.